Welcome back to the show now. Let me come to you now, Akam. We find, Nigeria has a plethora of problems with the economy, with security. There's just so much going on. And there's a sense that sometimes issues like this are not seen as priority for government, which is probably why we are where we are. With the organization, for example, how do you then make government understand the importance of an act like this to be domesticated? Because domesticating it is really important, because each state varies in what they've unfortunately normalized, for example. So how do you handle a situation where it's not seen as important enough?
Thank you, Ebuka. So basically, every state in Nigeria, or Nigeria as a whole, needs to understand that issues of gender-based violence is important for the development of every country. Women are a pivotal part of Nigeria's workforce, and ignoring them and ignoring issues that affect them and do not allow them to thrive is depleting the workforce of Nigeria and affecting what we have as output. Women have made impact in different fields in Nigeria, and it is important that we take issues that affect them and hinder them from thriving and progressing, or making their impact felt in the society at the forefront. Now, the VAPP Act is one of the very, very progressive laws we have that was signed into in 2015 by President Muhammadu Buhari, that captures the true essence of what violence to women means, or what it actually is. It explains it, gives the punishment for it, compensation, and provides protection for victims, as the law calls it, but I choose to call them survivors, because they are actually survivors. Women, the issue of gender-based violence has skyrocketed since COVID, and it is important that states look into this direction, because when women are not physically and mentally ready to take on responsibilities, we're definitely going to affect our output as a state and as a nation.
All right, Maimuna, I think there was a time when, I think it's still going on actually, where a lot of the first ladies or wives of state governors, depending on how they want to be addressed, took this very seriously. I think it was led by the wife of the Ekiti state governor. We did see a lot of, she would, have these meetings and, these drives, trying to get her colleagues on board. I don't know how much that has done. So I guess my question to you is, with Global Citizen, for example, who do you talk to? What is the response? More importantly, do you get a sense that you understand how important this is? And are we seeing any improvement at all, or more people coming on board to be a part of this?
I think we've seen quite a lot of improvement. I know that the Governor's Wives Forum, I don't know how they want to be addressed as well, but they call the Governor's Wives Forum. That is at the forefront of their agenda as well. And as an organization, we aim to do this by engaging different partners across government, across private sector and civil society as well, to drive impact essentially in dismantling negative social norms. So with that, through funding innovative, multi-stakeholder coordinated grassroots engagement, and also with that, male allyship is also very important. When it comes to women and girls issues, and especially sexual and gender-based violence, it's always really good if you can have a male voice that can amplify that. But with that also, we also need to be careful the kind of stakeholders we work with to amplify the female voices, right? With that, we're very careful in terms of the kind of activists or the kind of male figures we work with in our society. Especially, we've seen people pay attention when men speak up against these kind of issues. So with what we do in Global Citizen is that we also encourage Nigerians also to sign up on our website to take action. But also, in order for us to implement this, we're looking at different things that we're doing. For example, 16 Days of Activism, it's coming. That's an event that takes place across 16 days in November, that's really focused on sexual and gender-based violence. This year, especially, what we're focusing on doing is we're having some sort of a high-level stakeholder engagement, which includes the Governor's Wives Forum, private sector, activists, and just grassroots organizations like WARIF and STARE that are really looking to domesticate the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill. We would like to have a conversation with the policymakers to see how far they're going and how long is it going to take us essentially to domesticate this across all 16 states.
Before we go, a very quick word from the both of you now. Let me start with you still, Mimuna, just to wrap up. Government is great, policy is important, this domestication is very important, but the people are sort of key to all of this, changing. If you're on social media, I have been on social media for over a decade now, and I've slowly seen a shift in how people, see these issues, and it's quite impressive. But that's just a very small percentage of Nigerians on social media. Away from social media, how is this message being sent across to Nigerians?
I think we have online, obviously we're big for our digital campaigns as an organization, but offline activations are, I think, the most important things where we can reach Nigerians in the rural communities as well. And also education. We work with quite a lot of partners that work in this space that are actually making it a point for them to start teaching sexual education in schools as well. So that starts from primary school, secondary school, and also universities as well. Now we're starting to see organizations like End Rape starting to talk to corporate organizations on how to start implementing certain policies that protect women in the workplace too. So offline activations, definitely. We would have community engagement with especially community heads and traditional rulers and also religious rulers, right? Nigerians pay attention to important figures in the community. We've seen that even with campaigning for vaccine, for example. So for women and girls issues, really making community leaders, especially male figures in the communities, to amplify the importance of women and girls issues, and also even just getting young people involved in these issues. As I said, it is really big and popular to campaign about education and health, but most times you can even start to see that corporates are not really paying attention to women and girls issues, but they're slowly starting to come around it. That is because of all the stuff that's going on social media. But locally, we need to make sure that young girls understand the importance of protecting themselves and their families and their communities protecting them as well. And with that alongside, young boys and men need to also understand the importance of not just what we're doing from some sort of a legal perspective, but protecting their sisters, protecting their friends, and also protecting their children against certain perpetrators in the community. So with our offline activations, I think it's the most important thing. Digitally, a lot of us have a digital age and now on the internet and can send petitions and emails online. But what happens to the people that are not connected in the rural communities? The only ways we can engage them is by having town hall meetings in their communities, by making sure that we gather young people in the communities and speak to them about what's going on, by making sure that sexual education happens at the grassroots level from primary school, secondary school, across to university and other tertiary institutions, essentially. So yeah, I would say digital and offline activations for sure for us to be able to spread the message across.
I'll come final word from you, please, very quickly.
For us to ensure that this message is being passed, we at STARE, we ensure that every form of activism gets to everybody, nobody's left behind. So we ensure that we have a community engagement, we translate community materials where they can read into local languages. We employ people at the local level to speak to their people in their language, which helps them to relate more with what is happening. And we also have this community ownership initiative where we use already existing structures at the community level to ensure that messages are being passed. For instance, if you go to the north, there is this age group stuff that they have and all of that structures they put in place to communicate. So we go in there, identify with these people, ensure that they get the message we came with, they buy into it, and we use that structure to pass the message to the people under them. That way, it is easier for them to just get the message across without the force of resistance. Because when you're strange, when you're a new person trying to tell them about it, most times they are looking at you as you're trying to introduce something strange or something new into their culture. So it is better that we leverage on existing protocols and structures and build advocacy towards it. And of course, we can't stop talking about it. Like the issue of mental health. We need to keep talking about it. We need to continuously talk about it online, offline, at workplace, everything we do at events. We need to chip it in during conversations, chip it into people. So I encourage everybody to talk about it, talk about gender-based violence issues, talk about issues affecting women at every point you get, and slow and steady. And I'm sure definitely we're going to make headways with this.
Thank you very much. That's a very, very good point. We should actually all be advocates for this, and I hope we all continue this fight. Thanks for all the good work you both are doing and with your organizations, and hopefully we'll be looking at better days ahead. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Ebuka.
Okay, well, like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Arabi Minds Now is the hashtag to use. I'll see you next Sunday. Do have a great week.